Sometimes I think people are essentially stupefied by, oh, what if I make a mistake? Well, if you make a mistake, you learn from it and you move on. I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm sure we all have, but they're learning experiences. So do something.
Welcome to the Wealth Strategy Secrets of the Ultra Wealthy podcast, where we help entrepreneurs like you exponentially build wealth through passive income to live a life of freedom and prosperity. Are you tired of paying too much in taxes, gambling your future on the stock market, and want to learn about hidden strategies for making your money work for you? And now your host, Dave Wolcott, serial entrepreneur and author of the best-selling book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode on Wealth Strategy Secrets. I'm your host, Dave Wolcott, and today we have an extraordinary guest who's going to inspire you with his transformational wealth building journey. Joining us is Adam Sharp, an entrepreneur, investor, and family man who has redefined his approach to wealth, success, and impact. In this episode, Adam shares how he shifted from a traditional mindset of saving and investing into a 401k to embracing creative, out-of-the-box strategies that have 10x'd his results, and then some. From acquiring short-term rental properties with no money down to building a thriving Turo-based car-sharing business and even scaling his family's involvement in these ventures, Adam demonstrates the power of taking action and thinking differently. If you've ever wondered how to start investing strategically, turn liabilities into assets, or even build a family legacy while creating passive income, this episode is packed with insights you won't want to miss. Adam's story is proof that by rethinking your approach to wealth, you can create massive impact, freedom, and purpose in your life. Get ready to be inspired and take your next step towards financial freedom. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Great to be here.
Yeah, you bet. I cannot believe that we are here live on the podcast talking about your journey. It must be, 18, 24 months maybe since we met?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yep.
About right. And the transformation that I've been able to witness in how you think, your investment portfolio, the things that you've taken action on, the clarity that you have, it's just been super rewarding, super inspiring, to watch you do that. And I think this is going to be a big inspiration to others, Adam. So I appreciate you, being vulnerable and kind of sharing your story with others today, because that's what this is all about. How can we learn from others, right, who were, in your shoes at one point or another, and really talking through this, 10x journey that you've taken. And I'm really excited to see, where the next 24, 48 months is going to lead for you. So why don't we kick things off and, just give us kind of a brief background, a little bit about, you and your family and start there.
Yeah, thanks. And, I will just kind of jump to the chase there. The interactions that I've had with you, the Mastermind team, have made a significant difference in primarily just how I think. And so, to your point about the story, I think I was essentially a fairly standard kind of traditional, had a traditional mindset of go to work hard, get a nice paycheck, invest in the 401k, and work until you save up enough money where you feel like you could retire. And that was the mindset. I had parents who taught me to work hard and to do my best, save some money and put some away for retirement. And that's what I was doing. So, my wife and I were kind of following that path. And I think it was, right around COVID where I realized I had some extra time and some capacity. And so I took some of that savings and I invested in a business. So I bought a FedEx delivery route. And that kind of lit the fire a little bit where I realized, hey, I could probably do something a little bit more, something a little bit off the beaten path. And when I got connected to, your book and some of the principles there around, what does wealth really mean, and passive income, and, focusing on one of the biggest expenses in your life, which is taxes, and creating tax strategies. That really was a moment for me, and it was a light bulb kind of experience. I listened to a few of your podcasts. I remember Trevor McGregor had that podcast that you did with Trevor had a huge impact on me. And I remember thinking, this is definitely something that I want to participate in. I want to go in on. And so I've been listening to your podcast. I, bought the book. I read it right away. I immediately got a hold of you as fast as I could and joined the Mastermind group. And as you said, I've been able to make significant changes in my life. So that's kind of the background.
Yeah. No, awesome. So let's kind of back up a little bit and just kind of unpack, back to the, early days for Adam. And, let's talk a little bit about your investment portfolio and, your thinking in a little more detail around that, before you started learning some new strategies.
Yeah. It was probably, pretty standard to what most people, out there are doing. I had a nice account with Fidelity. I also had a 401k with my employer, and, I'd put money away. I'd pick a mutual fund or two, or sometimes I'd read a stock tip or listen to Kramer and his suggestions and, buy some stock. So I was, really just doing the mainstream kinds of investing, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And I was, doing okay at it. I was definitely amateur. And I would say that it did cause me quite a bit of stress because, as you know, like sometimes the market would go up and sometimes it'd be down. And I was not a professional at making any of those selections. And so I had, periods of, hey, the market's doing great. And then periods where it wasn't. But I was very, very traditional in terms of the way I was brought up was save 10%, invest 10%, and give 10%. And that's pretty much how I navigated life until I got to this point.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And then, so, let's talk about some of the chess moves that, you've made in your life, right, in the past 24 months since then.
Yeah. One of the things you and I have talked about is I'm pretty action oriented. So when I hear about something and I get excited about something, I'm going to go after it. And that's maybe a fatal flaw of mine. I'm not sure, but I like to get things done. I like to move and I like to act and I like to get things across the finish line. So, since I started with the Pantheon Mastermind group, I've made a lot of decisions and choices that I wouldn't have made otherwise. So we bought a rental property. We have invested in we have an infinite banking policy, which is pretty active with MC, which has been great. We are investing in oil and gas, in the credit fund. So just a variety of different things that we are trying. And of course, made a few stumbles along the way, but that's par for the course. And every time we do, we learn something new. So, and then the other thing that I would say is, a lot of times I think before I was involved in the Pantheon group, my mindset was a little bit off. I think it's almost like my value was attached to a number. And what I've learned really from you and from the group is that wealth means a whole lot more than that. And so, I think about, and oftentimes in the Mastermind group, we talk about some of the other areas of wealth in your life, which I just probably took for granted. So for example, we have our health, which is a huge gift, but we also work at it and we spend time and energy focused on our health. And we have terrific family relationships with our siblings and with our parents and with our children, especially. So there's a lot more. It's expanded my thinking around what does wealth actually mean. And I have oddly been less focused on the dollar and more around holistic wealth.
Yeah, that's so powerful, Adam. That's really great to share that. And one of the things Adam has done, which has been really great in terms of accountability, is he's been basically sharing his vision with me. And pretty much every 3 to 6 months, he will update all of the actions he's taken place, what he has on his plate, and the next quarter or two, what's kind of coming up. And it's amazing to look back. And in fact, this would be a great exercise, Adam, is to go back 2 years ago to look at your first one compared to the one that you just sent most recently, and the confidence and the clarity on where you're going, like it literally has 10x. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when we put a number on it, 10x, we get focused on a number, but there are so many aspects of my life and my mindset that have changed significantly that I would say I'm 50x or 100x. I feel like if you think about wealth holistically, I feel like I'm one of the most wealthy, people around. Although maybe not with the biggest bank account, but with all the other, aspects of wealth, I think very, very grateful, very grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. And Adam is being so humble. And so let me just talk about one of the chess moves that he took, which is great. So one of the things that we do at our upcoming Mastermind retreat in February is we have 10x presentations where all the members have an opportunity to really present a big, move that they've taken. It could be investment, it could be on the personal side, right? But an area that you've really had some massive growth. And Adam was able to, I won't steal your thunder here, but just talk a little bit more detail about what you did with your short-term rental property there as an example.
Yeah. Like you said, I like to get things done. So, listen to a podcast, reached out to and made some connections, ended up purchasing a property that was essentially, I put zero down. It was a seller financed down payment. And so we basically just started, we bought that property and have enjoyed obviously depreciation, appreciation, tax benefits, of course, and then, some cash flow on the other side. So, and I would put that clearly in the bucket of just changing my mind about, making different choices. And those are things that I would have never considered before. So that's just a small example.
Yeah, no, it's such a great example because we talk about all this wealth strategy stacking, right? And how you put it together and the more you can, put on one another. So just, let's break this down for a minute for what Adam was able to achieve, which is amazing, guys. He literally took no money down, so no money out of his pocket. You purchased a 7-figure short-term rental property, which then reduced your taxes. It was a 6-figure savings in depreciation and taxes.
For sure.
Yeah. In that same year, you created a passive income stream, and you're now receiving, income from that, plus the appreciation, you mentioned, all because of creative thinking with no money out of your pocket.
Yep. And it's like you said, it's just creative thinking. It's just thinking differently about finances and about making different choices than I would have made before that are maybe not necessarily traditional.
Yeah. And I give you a lot of credit for actually taking action as well. All of us, a lot of times will hear a good podcast or you read a good book, but it's, you have to have knowledge plus action, right? That actually gets you to some kind of result. So you actually took action and did that. So, kudos to you. That was a great example. And we've got another example that we can kind of jump into in a few minutes and everything. But I want to also, talk a little bit more about, now you've come so far, where you are today, but let's actually, tell the audience a little bit about your vision right now for the future with your family, because you have a really big vision and it just keeps even getting bigger. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that. My wife and I have four kids. They are, each individually just terrific humans. And I was working with one of my sons one of my sons actually runs the FedEx delivery business that I bought. So he's essentially a business owner and 25 years old. And I'm super proud of the work and the leadership that he's doing. He's also learning how to run a business, which is terrific. But we did sit down, and one of the things that we talk about with the Pantheon group, and it was outlined in your book, is you've got to know the why. You have to be centered around the purpose. And I'm very clear on this. I do not. Sometimes you see these pictures of somebody with a Corvette, in front of a yacht, or that's really not my why. My why is almost completely different than that. And that is, I want to build a culture within my family, where we can create purpose and serve other people. The resources that we gather, that we are able to collect, will be primarily used to help other people and to maximize the positive impact that we can have around the world. We've had the opportunity, as my kids were younger, to go to different countries. We went to Africa and we lived in an orphanage. We went to China and we just held babies at an orphanage. We went to Quito, Ecuador, and we just played with street children. So the purpose, the why behind really everything I'm doing is to help my family by providing the resources necessary so that we can live lives of meaning and purpose and service.
Yeah. That's so amazing, Adam. Really great. And tell us a little bit about your travel goals and real estate, and how you're kind of thinking about that strategy as well.
Yeah. We've talked about this a bit. I know, because you have some property overseas, and one of the things I love the United States of America. I love exploring. I've been to tons of national parks, and I love it. I also love getting outside of the country, and there's so much of this amazing planet that is so diverse and just amazing to take in. And so one of our goals as a family is to have some sort of property or investment property in roughly 12 different countries that we can visit on a regular basis as part of our business structure, our family office. And that way we can help other people experience different countries and different cultures and different people, while also working that into a financial structure that makes sense and, again, minimizes, tax burden and hopefully generates some amount of income.
Yeah. Totally love it. That's really amazing. So I do want to unpack your latest venture this year. It's so interesting, again, in working with Adam, and we're all constantly sharing ideas, right, about how we can grow in multiple domains, right? Not just financial capital, right, but with spiritual capital, physical capital, intellectual capital, right? All these things that come together to give us this holistic wealth. And it's been just really great to, see your thoughts evolving, which really have led into your latest opportunity, which I think is quite intriguing. And I think a lot of the listeners are going to be pretty intrigued about this. So first off, why don't you tell us how you kind of got into this? What is it? And let's start there.
Yeah, you bet. So not many people actually have heard of Turo, but Turo is a platform. I call it similar to Uber, but it's actually more similar to Airbnb, but for vehicles. And so people can put their private vehicles on this Turo platform, and then other people can rent those vehicles if they're not being used. And so I was introduced by a mutual friend to a lady named Cassandra Merrill. And Cassandra was essentially going crazy, building a business where she was using primarily other people's vehicles, putting them on her platform, and then doing all of the work associated with getting vehicles prepped and cleaned and delivered, and making sure that the people who were renting those vehicles had an amazing experience. And so she and I sat down one day and we were just talking. I was just essentially, doing like what we've talked about, just exploring options and just being curious and listening and growing, hopefully, understanding a little bit about what other people are doing. And as I talked to her, I realized that she brought passion and heart and soul and love to the equation, but wasn't really that interested in the business side. And I said, hey, I love the business side. I love the details and the numbers and all of the financials and things like that. And so within a couple of weeks, she and I were partners. And essentially the model is, if you, for example, had a vehicle that you weren't using, or if you wanted to buy a new one, or whatever vehicle you want to put on the platform, you would essentially sign a contract with us, give us the vehicle, and the Extra Mile Rides is the name of the company, Temer for short, the Extra Mile Rides, we do everything. So it's a completely passive income for you, the vehicle owner. You obviously pay for the vehicle. So the cost of the vehicle, maintenance, insurance, and registration. And we direct deposit 70% of the revenue of the vehicle each month into your bank account. And you get all the benefits of that, so you get the income, you get the depreciation. And then at the end, if you're on a 5-year, debt payment or whatever it is, or you can decide to sell the vehicle. So it's a win for an investor. It's a win for the Extra Mile Rides. And we've also designed it to be a win for our employees, for our team, because we've helped them establish their own businesses, their own LLCs, and we're helping them put vehicles on the platform so that they can be business owners, and so they can start understanding some of the principles that I've learned from you around passive income and alternative investing and being your own business owner. So we're trying to design it so that it's a win for everyone.
Hey, it's Dave Wolcott here. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of the same old financial advice that leaves you spinning your wheels? If you're ready to discover the real secrets the ultra wealthy use to build unstoppable wealth, then I've got something just for you. My new book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy, is your ticket to learning the proven strategies that the top 1% don't want you to know. This book isn't just about money. It's about building a life of purpose, freedom, and lasting impact. And I want to give you a free copy. Visit holisticwealthstrategy.com and get yours today. It's time to level up your financial game and create the future you deserve. Yeah, it's such a really neat concept, and all those, folks who are looking for some kind of, just side hustle, or maybe you're trying to teach your kids to do passive income, right?
Yeah.
My kids, might be traveling or whatever, and you could just drop your vehicle off, right? And start like cash flowing it, instead of having it just kind of sit in the garage, right? And be a liability. And that is one of the shrewdest things you can do is, right, in your wealth strategy is how can you take a liability and actually turn it into a profit center, right? And that's essentially, that's what Jeff Bezos, that was really the genius with him, right? Mm-hmm. Is they were building up all of the data centers and infrastructure to support the e-commerce. And then when they created Amazon Web Services, that became really the cash cow with the whole thing. So I love that you're able to do that. And people can get in really at any level. Mm-hmm. And now, tell us how much you're scaling, because it's unbelievable. The first time I talked to you, this was like, okay, we're making a couple of bucks on the side here. We're getting some tax depreciation, but tell us where you are now with the business.
Yeah. So when I first met Cassandra, she had about 20, maybe 25 vehicles, and she was trying to do all of that herself out of her house. And she was doing an amazing job, by the way, of all the trips that those vehicles were going out on, 100% 5-star reviews. So she's very, very customer and client focused. Since then, and this has really just been over the last couple of months, we've grown that to over 60 vehicles. We plan on being at 100 vehicles by the end of the year, by the end of 2024, which gives us, I don't know, about 5 weeks or so to get that done. And I think we'll hit that. Our goal, our target is to hit 1,000 vehicles in Phoenix by the end of 2025, and then expand into multiple cities to diversify risk and to create additional opportunities for people to grow the business and to invest. Because as you said, it's a terrific alternative investment for an asset that might be sitting doing nothing. In fact, if you don't mind, I'll share just a real example. Nice. For me, I had an Audi A6 that I drove forever. Loved it. It was I just loved it. I thought it was a great looking car. I also had a truck, an F-250. It's nice, lifted, got some big tires on there. And I decided as I got into this that I would put the Audi on the platform, which I did. And the Audi over the last several months has gone out 75% of the time. So 75% of the time, someone's using it, roughly 22 days a month, which the average is about $60 a day, which means that that vehicle is making $1,400 a month. 70% of that is paid to me. And then if we think about insurance and maintenance, about $100, let's say a month, that means I'm walking away with $900 a month for an asset that, like you said, was just going to sit in the garage anyway. Yeah. So it's a huge win in that regard. Like you said, an asset that was just sitting there is now an income generator. I'm depreciating the asset. I put it into an LLC that I started with my other son who's in college. So he and I are partners. And then the profits that we make, I actually paid to him as a college student, right, to pay for some of his living expenses, which is obviously a business expense. So, and these are all, again, strategies that I've learned through the Mastermind group and through the accountant that I was connected with through your team. His name's Dirk. He's fantastic. So again, just thinking a little bit differently, thinking a little more creative and out of the box.
Yeah. And how about that story with your wife as well with the minivan?
Yeah. Actually, okay. So that's a good one.
Good one with Serena. Yeah.
Yeah. Serena, we got her a Hyundai Palisade, and it's kind of a vehicle she's always wanted. With 4 kids, we've always driven a Suburban. So she's like, hey, let's get a little smaller here. But she also works with refugees and does a lot of events and things. So she wanted a little bit of storage. So we decided to get that. And then we mentioned to Cassandra that we were going to go out of town for a couple weeks. And so we said, hey, let's put the Palisade on the platform. And Cassandra said, yeah, okay, that sounds great. So we took some pictures and we sent them over to her, and she put it on the platform. And then she got working on something else and went to bed. And by the time she woke up, that Palisade was booked. It had almost the entire time that we were gone. It had 3 weeks worth of trips and made double the car payment in just those 3 weeks. It's an amazing platform, and it's a terrific opportunity for people to make a little bit of extra money. I think that's the story that you're referring to.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. Right. There's just so many applications for this. And again, like the underlying fundamentals of this are so strong and really align with our investment thesis where, we're always looking for cash flow. We want depreciation so we can get, tax benefits. Right. And then being able to do this in a way that you can get your family involved so you can start to teach, the kids or someone in the family how to do that. Or, let's face it, let's say you're trying to just reduce expenses, right? Here's a great, great way how to do that, or make a couple extra bucks, maybe pay for the vacation, that you go on, instead of having the car sit at the park, the airport parking and paying the fees on it. For that, that's really huge. Is this, now I know you're in the Phoenix area and you've had good success, probably mostly from the airport there. How about other, locations, cities? Where is this best applicable?
Yeah, so Turo just generally is pretty active in almost every city across the United States. It's certainly growing, and there are a lot of people who still haven't even heard about it. So there's still a lot of kind of upside growth potential. We are starting in Phoenix with that investment strategy primarily because we live here. So let's just say you out of Florida said, "Hey, I'd like to invest in this and get going." You could say, "Hey, I'd like to buy 2 vehicles," and we could help you source those vehicles, put them on the platform, and then your job is essentially done. we would take care of everything else. But like you said, you would get the value of the depreciation of the asset. You would get the cash flow. And then at the end, whenever you said, "Hey, let's wrap that up and let's sell that," you get the proceeds from the vehicle at the end of life or the end of the term as well. Yeah. So, and just to get tactical on the numbers there, because I think some of the listeners might appreciate some real numbers. I went out and bought a Sprinter van, a Mercedes Sprinter van. Cost about $60,000. I put nothing down. I used my LLC to buy it, and then I put it on the platform. The payment on that is about $1,200 a month. And last month, just as an example, the 70% check that I got was $1,700. So I made $500. And then let's say insurance and maintenance, let's reduce that down to $400 clear. And then I'm going to hang on to that for 5 years. So over the course of 5 years, that $60,000 vehicle will be depreciated in whatever depreciation schedule you want. But if you look at that, and even if you're in the 25% tax bracket, that means you've got $15,000. Let's say I sell the vehicle at the end of 5 years for $15,000, and then I've made $500 a month for 5 years. That means I invested $0, and I'm walking away over 5 years with $50,000 of benefit or value back to me, either in cash flow, depreciation, or end of term sale. And so I don't even know how to calculate an ROI on that because I didn't put anything down.
Yeah, that's magic right there, Adam. So, great job putting that together. And that's exactly it. When we started the conversation, just changing your thinking, and stopping to say that, hey, we can't invest our own money because you need to give it to Wall Street because these guys are smarter and they know everything, right? Mm. But you've been able to just completely go exponential with this. I mean, not only from, the passive income side, but the tax strategy side. I love the fact that you're, scaling this into your family and teaching other people. And I think you have another entire business angle on this that could be teaching other people, how to do this, and right now that's the other thing. I mean, this is Turo for cars, but you could probably do this for a multitude of other assets, right? And sure. That is the way that, that's the future, right? Is people want just to timeshare, these different liabilities instead of hanging on to it like we always have in the past, because, you don't need a car all the time, like since the pandemic, right? I mean, people aren't going to the office all the time. So, why not really maximize it?
Yeah, for sure. Here in Phoenix, people have these side-by-sides, right? Running, zipping around in the desert. Where you live, they've got boats, yachts, or, sailboats and things like that. There's very little chance that someone that has a very nice sailboat is using it 100% of the time. It's probably closer to 5 or 10% of the time. And so why not make that an asset, as you said, turn that into an asset as opposed to just a complete liability, on the books. So yeah, we are going to expand this into all sorts of different, different opportunities and different locations. And then the other thing that we plan on doing is making, we love Turo, by the way. Turo loves us. We love Turo. We have a great relationship with them, but we are also going to stand up a private site so that if someone wants to rent directly from us, they can save a little bit of money, have a little bit better rate. And also we can then essentially reduce our complete reliance on Turo, just in case, something happens there. We'll have a little bit of independence, again, just reducing risk. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, awesome. No, we will make sure to, if you want to share, what is the best place? Do you have a website, or if people want to learn more about what people are doing, you're trying to help people with this, what is the best place for them?
Yeah, so the website that we've put up is Temr, Temr, theextramilerides.com. And if you are interested in investing, putting a couple of vehicles on the platform, or even if you just said, hey, I've got some capital that I would like to invest, we can help you identify the right vehicle and those kinds of things. And that's just temr.com/invest. And we can reach out and discuss what you want to do and how you want to move forward.
Okay, awesome. We'll make sure to have some links in the show notes for that, to cover that. And then I'd like to just kind of, really summarize with you, Adam. One of my goals in terms of running the Mastermind in that, community of amazing folks like yourself is, we talk about it being a 10x investment on, the capital that you put in to join. And, it seems like it's marketing hype, right? But, can you just, share with us a little bit about your perspective on how you've been able to really multiply?
Yeah, for sure. And, if there is anybody that's kind of on the fence or thinking, I wonder if I should or shouldn't, I'm a huge proponent of the Mastermind group. In my opinion, 10x, it's not even close to 10x. It's multiples of that. You had mentioned this, and I wholeheartedly agree. You become who you spend most of your time with, and being around and surrounding myself with like-minded individuals who are thinking this way and who are acting and getting, these types of results. It's so refreshing for me. And I've been able to develop relationships that I think are 10 times the value of being a part of the Mastermind group. It's been extraordinarily valuable for me. And I do highly recommend it for individuals, like you said, who want to think differently and then surround themselves with people who have been doing that and can help. Because that's one of the coolest things I think about the Mastermind group is it's not just one-way communication. There's a whole ton of dialogue and back and forth and partnering and, off meeting conversations, connections, privately. Again, invaluable connections.
Awesome, Adam. If you could give just one piece of advice to the audience about how they could accelerate their own wealth trajectory, what would it be?
Oh yeah. My favorite question. I knew that one's coming because I've listened to enough of your podcast. But my advice would be to do something. Get in the game, try something, pick something. If you want to invest with Temr, great. Put a car out there and see what happens. Dave, I think you're I don't know how many podcasts you've done, how many episodes. It's got to be coming up on 200, I would think. But, listen to a few of Dave's podcasts and pick a horse and ride it. And by the way, sometimes I think people are essentially stupefied by, oh, what if I make a mistake? Well, if you make a mistake, you learn from it and you move on. I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm sure we all have, but they're learning experiences. So do something. Get in the game. And like you mentioned before, this is something that, I'm working with my kids on, right? They're all involved somehow in these different things that I'm doing. I was talking to my son, Jared, the other day. He's in college, like I mentioned, and we were talking about our business, the business that we have started together. And he kind of paused and he said, they don't teach us this in college. They don't teach me. There's no classes on this. And I kind of smiled. I said, yeah, I am trying to help, my kids with educating them in these different alternatives. My daughter Mackenzie is helping us with pricing on the Temer site, making sure that the vehicles are priced perfectly. My son Trevor, like I said, is running the FedEx business, and he purchased a vehicle and put it on the platform. Jared is my business partner. So Corinne is one of our employees. We're working on this together. Like I said, when I talked about the why, we're doing this together. We're doing something. We're in the game. We're participating. We're all learning and growing together so that ultimately we can maximize the impact that we have for good on the planet.
Wow, totally love that, Adam. That's such an inspiration for others. And, I think that's always one of my core philosophies and what I try to express in the holistic wealth strategy as well, that, investing in yourself, you're going to get no better return out there. And that includes, your education, your relationships, all of these different things, your health, right? That can really do it. So love that. Take action. Right. That's the key takeaway today. Get in the game, make something happen, and you will make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes, but you have to learn from them and then grow from that. So, Adam, thank you so much for your wisdom, being an inspiration for others. Like it's just been really amazing to see this journey, and for you to be able to share it with others is really great. So appreciate you spending the time.
Yeah, Dave, before we end up, I just want to say this. Well, one of the things that you've taught me is none of us are really kind of doing this by ourselves. It does take, and you mentioned a carefully curated group of people that you've worked with. And I just want to mention my gratitude to you and to your team for all of the things that you've helped me understand and accomplish. Because I know you kind of said, hey, you pointed it back on me. I've just been doing things and acting in ways and following patterns that I've seen other successful people do. So my appreciation comes right back to you. I appreciate all of the insights, coaching, perspectives, and help that you've provided along the journey, and will continue to provide, because I haven't arrived, and I'm not even close to where I want to be yet. Ultimately, but I really appreciate you and your team. So thank you.
Really grateful for you, Adam. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it for sure. All right, guys, until next week, we'll see you then.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Wealth Strategy Secrets. If you'd like to get a free copy of the book, go to holisticwealthstrategy.com. That's holisticwealthstrategy.com. If you'd like to learn more about upcoming opportunities at Pantheon, please visit pantheoninvest.com. That's pantheoninvest.com.